video, I'm going to give an overview of combination knitting or combined knitting. I have other videos out, and I'm thinking of one video in particular called What's Your Knitting Style? And I'll give you a link to that video if you click the little eye in the upper right-hand corner. And in that video, I talk about different ways of holding the needles and yarns and working the yarn around the needles. And I don't address combination knitting because combination knitting is really different because the way the stitches are worked is actually different. And so this is an overview. There is more to get into. And in fact, Annie Modisett has a great webpage that's pretty much devoted to combination knitting. And YouTube won't let me link here, but I will have a link in the video description field just below the video. And on my website, if you click the little eye in the upper right-hand corner, I'll also give you a link to my website in case you're watching this video somewhere else. Now, combination knitting, you always work into the leading leg of the stitch when you're working any knitting. And in combination knitting, the back stitch is actually the leading leg. And so things are different for both knitting and purling and working in the round and working on a flat piece. So again, this is an overview. Let's go ahead and take a look. The first thing that I have here are two swatches. One is this, of course, it was both knit by me, using the exact same needles, exact same yarn. The top one here is combination knitting and the bottom one is my normal way of knitting. And you see that my gauge is tighter in combination knitting, and that is really common. That is a normal thing. Combination knitters do end up with a tighter, more dense fabric than non-combination knitters. So I want to show you how this has worked and what it looks like when I'm saying front leg and back leg. So these stitches, if you were to look at them like my normal knitting, these stitches are all twisted. And in combination knitting, that's what we want, because on a knit row, this is a piece of flat knitting, I'm going to knit into the back loop of the stitch. A normal knit stitch, a non-combination knit stitch, is worked into the front leg, but these are worked into the back leg, which is untwisting them. And we can talk about the way the stitch is mounted. In non-combination knitting, the front leg is the leading leg. In combination knitting with these twisted stitches, the back leg is the leading leg, the one that's out in front. So on the purl, or on the knit side, we're just going to knit these through the back loop. And the purl side is where it gets pretty interesting. Whoops. My gauge is definitely tighter. Okay. On the purl side, we're actually going to put the needle in the same spot, but instead of wrapping the needle counterclockwise, we're going to wrap the yarn clockwise. And that's what's going to give us the twisted stitches that we knit through the back loop on the next row. Now, for me, as a flicker, it doesn't really make much of a difference how I wrap the needle in this case. But I'll tell you what, if you are a continental knitter and you hold the working yarn in your left hand, wrapping the yarn this way is a lot easier than wrapping it counterclockwise, the normal way. I don't want to say normal because combination knitting isn't abnormal. It's the way a lot of people around the world knit. But you know what I mean. So that is a wrong side and a right side row. And you'll see here that all of these stitches are tight because this is not my natural way of knitting, and it creates a denser fabric. And the leading leg is the back leg on each one of these. Okay, now in the round, I've got this sample here. If we're working stockinette in the round, you're never going to work a purl side row. So to get the same results, you're going to want to, well, let me just show you. You're never working a purl side row to wrap the yarn the other way. So we're going to knit through the back loop and wrap the yarn clockwise the other way. So normally a wrap is done this way. We're going to wrap it this way. And again, I hold the yarn in my right hand, and it doesn't really make much of a difference to me which way the needle is wrapped. This is what's hard. I was looking at Annie Monisset's page, and she said that continental knitters, people who hold the working yarn in their left hand, wrapping the needle this direction for a knit stitch is, it's more difficult. It's not as easy. Of course, it can be done, but continental knitters enjoy just that little picking motion when they wrap the yarn the other direction, the counterclockwise direction, and this is not as easy. And so she actually says on her website that continental knitters might want to just wrap the yarn the normal way when they're knitting stockinette in the round. Anyway, that's how you work this. And again, the denser fabric is a normal part of combination knitting. Again, this is an overview of how this works. Annie Monisset's website is really good and has an FAQ section that has a lot of the basic questions. If this is the way that you knit, one important thing that you want to know, I know that this much from teaching knitting for as long as I have, knit two together and SSK, knit two together is a right leaning decrease, SSK is a left leaning decrease. Those have to be swapped in combination knitting. So if you see a knit two together in a pattern, you actually want to SSK and the other way around. I know that for a fact because that's something that comes up. I haven't had a lot of combination knitters as students, but I do know that much. If this is the way you knit, I encourage you to go to Annie Monisset's page for more information. Or if this is the way that you watch people in your family knit, older people in your family knit, and you want to learn more about it, she has a great website for that. Anyway, I hope this overview explains a bit more. Good luck.